I have a general comment and question about beneficial impact on the state of Maine. When First Wind did Stetson Mountain, they invested $65 million on that project. $50 million of that investment was spent directly on Maine businesses. In the last 4 years, over $700 million has been invested into the state in wind power. Which part of that is not a benefit to the state of Maine?
I would just like to make an observation. I don't think there's anyone who would disagree with me that the western Maine mountains are as fine as any range in New England. And also, I don't think anyone would disagree that ecotourism brings in dollars. And my question is, instead of ruining the resource by trashing the mountaintops, why not preserve it in a national park and work toward that?
Hello, my name is Tom Twist, and I'm from the Chewonki Foundation. And I had a question it's kind of unbiased. I really want to know. And it's if maybe someone could speak to why this is such a really hot button issue. You know, like everyone on the panel is really cares about the Earth. Obviously, there's no one from like ExxonMobil up there, I just wonder why. What's at the heart of all this? You know, because we're all kind of on the same side, really. And what you think is the real, like, the kernel that is the dividing line here? Because I think that in many ways I've noticed traveling around looking at different wind farms. This is a little bit of a northeastern phenomenon. I just got back from Minnesota, and they are very, very fiercely all about their natural resources. It's almost scary, actually. But yet, if you go there, there's wind farms all around. So I wonder if someone can maybe speak to why we in the Northeast are really kind of like brought this topic up, are holding it up, and are so divided on this.
Kathleen McGee from Bodenham and Friends of Mirror Bay. I think we're kind of being given a false choice here. We either have to have wind turbines or we have global warming. We can't keep acting in haste and repenting in leisure. We don't have time for leisure. I just want to bring up two things that are important to me. Something that Angus King said about hydropower and Chamberlain 200 years ago, saying this was a radical idea. It was probably a radical idea then, and now we are suffering from a number of endangered species, anadromous and catadromous fish not being able to get to their spawning habitat, which is just decimating the Gulf of Maine fisheries and creating all kinds of other problems. We could have had dams that allowed animals to go to and from their spawning habitats. Now that we have corporatized, industrialized dams by multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporations, we are having a terrible time trying to get that changed now so that we can actually have fish passage and save the Gulf of Maine. I have the same concern for wind power and wonder how we're going to deal with the fact that when we have industrialized wind power and we have those corporations and those multi-billion-dollar corporations taking care of that, how we're going to change it when we find out that we no longer have bats being able to get to and from where they need to go. Offshore and onshore wind are going to have problems with low frequencies in fish. I am concerned about the fishermen. I'm concerned about problems that they're having in Europe right now with fisheries because of offshore and onshore wind. And that we are not taking the time. We have all the money in the world to take care of, as we said, drones, but we don't have all the money in the world to make sure that we are not moving ahead on something that we just haven't taken the time to look into. It takes us 2 years just to get data from our budget process. If it only takes 3 years to get a wind project going, it's not enough time to study it.
question is more for Angus. I'm a resident of Vinyl Haven. Yeah, I'm a resident of Vinyl Haven, and I think you raise a really important point that energy isn't perfect, and it also presents choices. And I think in Vinyl Haven and North Haven, we made the right choice. A choice that's local and a choice that benefits the community. It makes it more sustainable, makes people have the ability to stay there and have a livelihood. And so my question for you is, given all the misinformation that's out there about wind power, how do we get the message right? How do we stay on the right side of the message so that we don't miss an opportunity?
I just want to say there's a big difference between putting the windmills on the flatland of West Texas or the lake country of Minnesota than on the Blue Mountains in Maine on the tops. That's just my comment. Thank you.
A lot of men back here. Any women want to say anything?
I want to say something. I'd like to know why we aren't talking more and having more investment in residential and individual business in terms of alternative power, solar power, wind power. Did you know that it's possible to create a storage mass underground where you can collect solar heat all summer long and then draw on it through the winter? There are all sorts of alternatives that some creative people are exploring all over this country and all over the world. Why aren't we doing that instead of looking at some of these very expensive things?
Okay, well, I'm going to give them each a chance now to answer some of these questions. What do you say we do about 3 minutes each, okay? Selma, can you give them the end at 3 minutes? All right? Who wants to go first? Anyone in particular? Peter? Somebody's mic here. Okay.
Where to begin? I've forgotten the first question.
Whatever you want to ask.
Well, the man from Vinyl Haven who says they got it right, or pretty close to right. There's nothing perfect. I went out to Vinyl Haven to record the wind towers, and there's a big gate and big signs that say, don't come in, but there's no fence. There's just the gate. And I set up my recording equipment, and a family walked up to the wind tower, and I said, what are these signs for? That's to keep the terrorists out. So, the people I talked to out at Vinyl Haven, all of them that I talked to were really helpful in getting me there, because I could see them, but I wasn't sure which way to go. But they were really proud of their investment, and they, I asked them, a fisherman, I asked them, how much is this going to power? And they said, well, in the wintertime it'll power these islands. So, and then, in the summertime it'll do these islands. In the wintertime, we'll be able to sell power back. And so I think it does work in some regions where the people have ownership